and welcome to the Monday, May 11th, 2026 regular meeting of the Burbank Planning Commission. Before we begin our meeting, there will be one general period of public comment tonight during oral communications. Persons speaking during the general public comment period may provide the Planning Commission oral communication on any matter concerning city business. Members of the public may comment in person or by telephone during the general public hearing public comment periods. If you would like to participate in the public comment period by making an in-person comment, please present a completed speaker card to planning staff. If you would like to participate in the public comment period by telephone, please call 818-238-3335. We will announce when the phone lines are open. Please join me in a moment of reflection. This moment is intended to begin our meeting with a positive and collective support for our beloved community. The Planning Commission welcomes everyone joining us this evening. We encourage you to take a moment to reflect on our community and the work we will be doing tonight. While each of us has our own unique reasons for being here, we are united in our passion for our wonderful city. As we pause, let us consider our own individual contributions, what they mean to those around us. Let us find solace in knowing that by working together with shared spirit of community and partnership, we will always act responsibly for the betterment of Burbank. Will everyone please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please conduct the roll.
Chair Wick.
Present.
Vice Chair Safarian is absent. Commissioner Van Gorder.
Present.
Commissioner Mendez.
Present.
And Commissioner Bennett.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Do we have any announcements from city staff this evening?
We do not.
Thank you very much. Now is the time for oral communications from the public. Any person speaking during this period may address the commission on any matter concerning city business. Each person may address the Planning Commission for a maximum time of 3 minutes. For members of the public who wish to comment in person, please present a completed speaker card to planning staff. For members of the public that wish to comment by telephone, please call 818-238-3335 to address the Planning Commission. Callers will be placed in a queue until all in-person comments have been received. The phone lines are now open. Please bear with us as it may take a couple of minutes for the first callers to get through the line. For callers, please remember to lower the volume on your TV or computer and take your phone off speaker when you deliver public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers here tonight or callers on the line?
No, we do not.
Okay, we'll give it a minute.
And Madam Chair, if we can, just to clarify for the public, this is for just general public comments. So if you're here to speak on a particular item that's agendized, and that's a separate. So I don't want anybody to feel that you're not going to get a chance to speak. There's an opportunity for that.
Correct. Thank you. No one? All right. There being no further public comment, I now declare the public comment period closed. There are 3 public hearing items and 1 report to Planning Commission on tonight's agenda. Now is the time and place for the public hearing of project number 19-0007903, a request for a conditional use permit to amend the previously approved CUP to allow operational modifications and expansion of use for the Community Youth Center, Burbank Youth Center, currently operating at 75 East Santa Anita Avenue. The proposed operational modifications and expansion include the allowance of adult daycare services, expanded hours of operation, removal of the equipment to provide additional on-site parking spaces, and allowance of up to 24 special events per year. The project site is zoned Burbank Center Commercial Manufacturing, BCCM, with a general plan land use designation of South San Fernando Commercial. Before we begin, do any planning commissioner members have any legal, financial, or any other conflict of interest regarding this hearing?
No.
No. All right, I'm hearing 4 no's. Have any planning commission members had any communications, including written or oral, with any person about this project?
No.
No. Okay, I'm hearing 4 no's. Mr. Ramirez, have the notices as required by law been given?
Yes, they have.
Are there any written communications on this matter?
Yes, there was one included in the packet, and I believe presented in front of the dais for each one of you is additional comments received.
Great, thank you very much. Will the representative of the Community Development Department please introduce yourself and summarize the matter before us tonight?
Good evening, Chairwoman Wick, members of the Commission. My name is Joseph Onibuchi, Associate Planner. The project before you this evening is a request for an amendment to a previously approved CUP to allow operational modifications and expansion of use for the Community Youth Center currently operating at 75 East Santa Anita Avenue. Scott, can you? It's not working. The project site is approximately 15,026 square feet and is developed with a 14,382 square foot, two-story commercial building that is used as a community youth center. Next slide, please. The project site is located in the Burbank Commercial Manufacturing Zone, or the BCCM, and is surrounded by commercial and industrial uses. The site has a general plan land use designation of South San Fernando Commercial, which is intended to support transit-accessible, walkable development in proximity to downtown Burbank. The general plan acknowledges that increased development intensity within this designation may impact the existing street system, and therefore, when this application was under review, a transportation study was prepared to evaluate potential impacts associated with the proposed intensification of uses at the site. And I will discuss the results of this transportation study later in this presentation. Next slide, please. The existing Community Youth Center operates pursuant to CUP number 11-0005018, which approved a combination of uses, including a basketball court, gymnasium, and office space. Due to the combination of these uses, the project was reviewed and approved as a city planner classification CUP. Furthermore, the project was approved with a requirement to record an off-street shared parking covenant to ensure adequate parking supply for the approved uses. The applicant requests approval of a conditional use permit that would amend the previously approved CUP to allow operational modifications and expansions of use for the Community Youth Center currently operating at this address. The proposed operational modifications and expansion include the allowance of adult daycare services. The proposed adult daycare services would operate on weekdays between 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. and serve up to 100 attendees. Participants would be transported to and from the site via a shuttle program, utilizing 10 passenger vans, thereby minimizing individual vehicle trips and reducing on-site parking demand. The service would be staffed by approximately 10 employees and would include periodic visits from nurses and physical therapists, as well as deliveries of specialized medical supplies. Passenger loading and unloading would occur along East Santa Anita Avenue, with attendees accessing the building via the existing driveway and courtyard entrance. The adult daycare services would operate independently of the youth center's evening program and is intended to concentrate activity during daytime hours. I think you can go back one slide. There we go. The project is surrounded by urban uses in the BCCM, such as the dance school located directly across Santa Anita Avenue, the automobile parts retailer abutting the property to the west, and the surface parking lot located just north of the site. Next slide, please. The project also requests expanded hours of operation. The project currently operates from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., Monday through Friday, and from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. on the weekends. The project proposes to expand those hours of operation to 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily to accommodate both the Community Youth Center, which will operate in the afternoon and evenings, and the proposed adult daycare services, which will operate in the mornings and early afternoon. The applicant requests the removal of the off-site parking requirement, which was a condition of approval related to the existing CUP requiring the center to provide at least 41 off-site parking spaces via the shared parking agreement. Finally, the existing CUP requires that the Community Youth Center provide the city 30 days written notice prior to the holding of a special event, and further prohibits live entertainment on the premises. The applicant is requesting that the Community Youth Center be allowed to hold a total of 24 special events per year, with no more than 3 community events allowed in any given month. The requirement for 30-day notification to the city be removed, and that live entertainment be allowed during the special events. These requested operational modifications do not introduce a new primary land use, but rather expand upon an established community serving use that is operated at the site under a previously approved CUP. As such, the project does not present a substantial change to the existing land use pattern in the surrounding area. Next slide, please. The project site currently provides 8 on-site parking spaces located within a courtyard accessed from East Santa Anita Avenue. I've highlighted that in blue on this slide. Due to the limited on-site parking supply, existing operations rely on curbside parking and passenger drop-off activity along East Santa Anita Avenue, with approximately 40 student drop-offs occurring daily under current conditions. The proposed adult daycare component, as I said before, would operate on weekdays between 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. and would serve up to 100 attendees, all of which would be transported via 10-passenger vans to the center. This program, the shuttle program, substantially reduces individual vehicle trips and parking demand, limiting new daily trips primarily to staff, service providers, and deliveries. Staff associated with the adult daycare facility are expected to park on either on-site or available on-street parking in close proximity to the project site. Staff conducted a transportation study, which is Appendix D in your packet, which identifies that the current loading configuration is limited in capacity and not optimally located relative to the site or to the site entrance. To address this study recommends reconfiguring the curb to provide 2 dedicated passenger loading spaces adjacent to the driveway and relocating the existing white curb zone. This improvement would enhance safety, improve circulation, and better accommodate increased loading activity associated with both the adult daycare facility as well as youth center operations. Next slide, please. Burbank Municipal Code Section 10-1-503A, which allows the city planner to classify a use as conditionally permitted when it is substantially similar in character and intensity to 2 or more uses permitted within the zone, which it is proposed to be allowed. The previous conditional use permit, number 11-0005018, authorized the community youth center use based on a determination that the proposed gymnasium and office components were substantially similar to uses permitted by right within the BCCM zone. Adult daycare is not explicitly listed in BMC Section 10-1-502. However, staff has determined that it's substantially similar to a child daycare facility, which is permitted, and an auditorium, labor union meeting hall, lodge hall use, which is also permitted if residentially adjacent. For this assessment, city staff considered 1, whether the project is consistent with the Burbank 2035 general plan, 2, whether the project complies with the BMC zoning regulations, and 3, whether the proposed use would be compatible with other uses in the surrounding area, and 4, whether the project complies with all findings required for CUP approval. The proposed project is consistent with all requirements necessary for approval. The combination of limited daily trip generation, reliance on shuttle-based transportation, and recommended improvements to passenger loading operations ensures that the project can be accommodated within the existing street network while maintaining safe and efficient access to the site. Finally, the project site is located within an area subject to Government Code Section 65863.2, also referred to as AB 2097, which means that the site is located within a half-mile radius of a major transit stop, in this case being the Burbank Metrolink train station, and that precludes the city from imposing minimum parking requirements. Next slide, please. Staff has included several conditions of approval to ensure safe and orderly site operations, including that event-related vehicles do not queue, idle, double park, or conduct passenger drop-off activities along South IKEA Way, that no more than 24 events per year that there be no more than 24 events per year with a maximum of 3 events per month, and that the hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily, with the adult daycare occurring from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., while the youth center occurs from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. This project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Section 15301, Class 1 of the state CEQA guidelines pertaining to operation, repair, maintenance, permitting, leasing, licensing, or minor alteration of existing public or private structures, facilities, mechanical equipment, or topographical features involving negligible or no expansion of existing or former uses. A Class 1 categorical exemption is applicable because the project involves only minor interior alterations within the Community Youth Center with minor expansion of the existing community-serving uses to not only serve youth in the evening, but now seniors during the daytime hours. The nature of the current operations as a Community Youth Center will remain the same, with programs now being offered to seniors in addition to the existing youth operations with no overlap between senior and youth services. Next slide, please. Public outreach for this project was done in accordance with Burbank Municipal Code Section 10-1-1942, which includes a newspaper notice, mailed notices to tenants and property owners within a 1,000-foot radius, installation of an on-site sign, all at least 10 business days prior to the hearing. Next slide, please. Staff has received one written comment from an adjacent property owner expressing concern regarding potential parking impacts associated with the proposed events at the facility. I believe the commission also received a petition with signatures regarding the parking associated with this project. Staff has incorporated conditions of approval to address these concerns. Specifically, conditions 16 through 18 address the parking associated with special events, and then conditions 30 and 31 are included to ensure that parking is managed in a safe, efficient, and orderly manner. Next slide, please. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the CUP request by adopting a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Burbank approving a conditional use permit, project number 19-0007-903, amending a previously approved conditional use permit and associated environmental determination. Next slide, please. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now invite the applicant or their representative to address the Planning Commission. You will have a maximum time of 15 minutes to make your presentation.
Good evening, Chair and Planning Commission members and city staff. My name is Armik Avedissian. I'm the chair of the Burbank Youth Center and chair of Armenian Cultural Foundation, which operates from the location. I don't have a presentation, but I'm here and available to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you so much. I'm sure there will be questions, but they'll be in a moment. All right, we will now open the meeting to hear from any persons who wish to speak on this matter. Each person may address the Planning Commission for a maximum time of 3 minutes. For members of the public who wish to comment in person, please present a completed speaker card to planning staff. If you wish to speak by telephone, please call 818-238-3335 to address the Planning Commission. Callers will be placed in a queue until all in-person comments have been received. The phone lines are now open. Please bear with us as it may take a couple of minutes for the first callers to get through the line. For callers, please remember to lower the volume on your TV or computer and take your phone off speaker when you deliver public comment. Madam Clerk, I see we have speaker cards. Do we have any callers on the line as well?
We do not have callers.
Okay, great. Our first card is David Kronemeyer.
Good evening, Ms. Chairperson and the other honorable members of the Planning Commission. My name is David Kronemeyer. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and my principal place of business registered with the city is at 52 East Santa Anita Avenue, which is across the street and slightly to the west of the property that's subject to this hearing. Parking on our street is a nightmare. There are no more than a dozen places for curbside parking. Hardly a day goes by when I don't have to roust somebody who's parked in front of the driveway into our premises. We have half a dozen off-site or off-street parking spots in our in the courtyard of our building. Now, I use my Burbank office irregularly. I'm also on the clinical faculty at UCLA. But when I do use it, it's quite an imposition for myself and my patients to have the driveway blocked. I took some pictures just of the last several weeks of parking. The one that happened this evening, I took a picture of, and I'm not going to try and circulate those to the commission, but it looks something like this, where here's a car that just is blocking our gate. And our gate is posted with no parking. Please do not block driveway signs. So there's no issue about whether or not people should think that they have an ability to park there. Now, I'm not in a position, especially with waiting patients, to go around and conduct a scavenger hunt across the street for the person who's blocking our driveway. And even if there's somebody in the car, when you politely ask them to move, they view it as an imposition and become offended, like they have some kind of an entitlement to be there, which is very discouraging. In our letter to the Planning Commission, we listed several possible mitigators. The letter we wrote on April 28th to Mr. Onyebuchi, including cameras, additional signage, refreshing the curb paint, and similar measures. Now, we're particularly concerned with their proposal to hold live entertainment events twice a month, maybe three times a month. I was in the live music business for 30 years before becoming a clinical psychologist, and I'm familiar with the litter, drug and alcohol use, and hooliganism that these type of events attract. If they retain this item in their proposal, then they should and must be required to retain a staff of armed guards to prevent a neighborhood takeover.
That's time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. The next comment is Ilda Senor.
Good evening, Commissioner and honorable staff. My name is Ilda Villasenor. I live at 148 East Santa Anita Avenue, 1 block from the proposed project. There is a apartment complex there with 15 residents that live in that little complex. It's 1 block away. I oppose the proposed Community Youth Center project. I want to convey that this street, just as it is extremely congested with vehicles, with continuous double parking on that street and IKEA Way. If you've ever gone to IKEA, you may have seen how congested that corner, and not only because it's a popular place, but because there is a lot of activity on that street. I spoke with my neighbors and business owners within a block of the area, and I'd like to submit 67 signatures to oppose the project. And just one before I read my petition, I wanted to convey also that I did not receive a mailing of the proposed project. I just saw the bulletin out in front of the youth center, and I asked the members in our apartment complex. They said the same. They did not receive any mailing of the proposed project. And now I'd like to read my petition. And I gave a copy to every single, yes, thank you. And there's 3 attached copies. We, the undersigned residents, business owners, and concerned community members hereby declare that the proposed Community Youth Center project must comply with all city ordinance regarding parking requirements. We assert that the project must have and provide the legally required number of parking spaces as stipulated by the city ordinance. No modifications, expansions, or changes in the use of the Community Youth Center shall be approved or permitted unless the project can demonstrate that it meets the legal parking requirements. The integrity of the community's safety, accessibility, and quality of life must be preserved by ensuring adequate parking is available before any approval of the project or its expansion. We urge the city authorities and Planning Commission to enforce the parking requirements strictly and to reject any proposals that do not meet these standards. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is George Johnson.
Hello, good Commission, and thank you for the opportunity. We are at 35 East Santa Anita, which is 2 doors down from the community center, and we do appreciate that the community center is doing a service for our community. However, the expansion of their operation without the expansion of their parking is a logic problem. First of all, 10 vans showing up with only 8 parking spaces. Where are those vans going to go for the rest of the day? I understand that they could be a rental and off-site, but that is a lot of traffic for us. Also, expanding what's going on with 24 events at night. Great idea, love to do it, sounds like fun, but we have a parking problem now. My associate Mallory, who's speaking next, I suspect, has pictures of the kind of parking congestion that we experience. Not only do we have our driveways blocked, our parking lot gets filled up with people who are actually going to the center, and they don't leave until they're done at the center. We have a business that runs both day and night. We are in the entertainment business, and we don't really have set hours other than we open at 10 and we close when the clients are done, which could be 2 o'clock in the morning. If we can't get in and out of our parking lot, that affects our business directly. I don't have a problem with expanding their capabilities. I absolutely have a problem with them reducing the amount of parking spaces that they have available to them while increasing their occupancy and use. It's a logic problem. It makes no sense. They have not, to this date, that we have in the neighborhood, experienced these supposed parking spots that they have off-site. If they have them, they're certainly not using them because they park all over the neighborhood, wherever they feel like. Our parking lot gets used. People drive through our parking lot, which is divided to 2 gates. They drive over the berm and around and through the dirt. We don't appreciate it. I love the community center. I think it's great. It's a good idea. I want the kids to have some place to go. The basketball nights are certainly exciting for them, but for us, it's a genuine problem because our clients cannot get in and out of our business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mallory. I didn't want to butcher your last name. I'm
That's okay.
sorry.
That's okay. I know. Everybody does it. Hello, Chairwoman, Commissioners. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm just kind of bounce off of what George said. I am the manager at the building, so I kind of try to keep an eye on everything that's going on. I did bring some pictures as well. I also have videos of what kind of everybody has said in terms of driveways being blocked. We have had people drive, like he said, through our parking lot. Over the part, we've had damage to our property. We've very kindly asked people to move before, and they get threatening. I had one guy try to fight one of my employees when he asked him to move. I've had people cuss at me, like I said, threaten. I've had people scream at me just for politely asking them not to block our driveway or not to park in our lot. We do have signs posted saying not to block the driveway, that it's a private lot. I have had to call the police before multiple times. They told me to just keep doing it when it happens. I have spoken to one of the managers at the youth center, and he assured me that, this was a while ago, that they would try to let their patrons know and everything, but nothing changed. It's been the same. There's nobody, I've been there before to try to talk to somebody. Nobody responds. The gate is always closed. They say they have on-site parking, but it's always closed. There's never anybody parking there, maybe just 1 or 2 cars for people that work there. So we are very concerned. Even Friday, it took me 15 minutes to get out of our parking lot to leave work because the street is just congested. There are people that idle in the middle and they stay there. There are people that park on both sides of the traffic. So it's been a real hindrance to us. And like George said, we are an entertainment studio. We do recording, we do filming. And if they're having, incredibly loud music performances at night or anything, that is going to directly affect our business as well. So like he said, we don't have a problem with them expanding. I mean, I think it's great that there's a place for kids to go, all that, to help the elderly. But this does need to be addressed. It is severely affecting our business. I also have a couple signatures from our neighboring businesses too. They also have issues. I know this is hearsay, but one of our neighbors said that they had stuff stolen from their trucks because they were a pool business. And so they have things they leave in their trucks, and they've had on video patrons come and stealing stuff from them. So I do have this, I don't know if I can give it to you guys, I've never done this before, but that's kind of my main concern. So thank you very much, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. All right. Madam Clerk, do we have any further speaker cards or callers on the line?
I have no more speakers or callers.
Okay. Great. There being no further public comment on this item, I now declare the public comment period closed. Would the representative of the Community Development Department like to make any further comments?
Yes, Joseph Onibuchi, Associate Planner. We have, with this application, reviewed extensively the traffic impacts on the project. We hired a consultant to review and conduct a transportation study to take a look at the impacts of these new uses on the site. And so we are very sensitive and aware as to what is taking place and what could take place as a result of these new uses. And to that end, we added some conditions of approval to ensure that there was that we could ensure an orderly, safe parking situation, traffic circulation. I'd like to, call your attention to condition number 14, where we actually discuss creation of a.
Can you give them the page number?
Oh, sorry, page 7. Yes, condition number 14, page 7. Where we discuss the creation of a community liaison. Now, in this condition, we essentially are discussing this community liaison with regard to special events, but we are open to, in light of these comments, we are open to expanding the community liaison to more of a permanent role for all of the other events that occur at the facility. So not just the special events, the 24 special events a year, but the basketball, the adult daycare, things like that. So that is one condition that we think could help ease some of the relationships in the community. With regard to, I think there was another comment with regard to the types of events that were taking place there, and I'd just like to call your attention to condition number 15, where we essentially gave examples of the type of events that we have spoken with the applicant about and that we believe are going to be occurring here. So generally, we believe events like, I know in the past that they've talked about using this place as an election polling place. So we've included that in the condition, and then I also believe they have annual galas there. And so we've added these conditions to ensure that that there is some sort of there are some guardrails here to help the community and help the community facility continue their operations in peace. Condition number 18 is another condition that I think adds it's a bit more explicit as to what we are allowing. So I can just go through the condition there. All event-related passenger drop-off and pickup activity must occur along South Bonnywood Place or other lawful parking areas. The operator must direct event attendees to utilize available on-street parking along South Bonnywood and must implement reasonable measures, including signage or staff direction during events to discourage parking, queuing, or staging vehicles along South IKEA Way. Finally, I would say that we do have condition number 17, where if the city receives 3 or more substantiated complaints related to event parking that impacts or impacts within any rolling 30-day period, then the community development director may require the permittee and any other operator to provide documentation demonstrating that off-site parking arrangements are available to accommodate event-related parking demand. So staff believes that the conditions that have been imposed on this application would help address the traffic and parking issues that have been brought up here today.
And
Sir, please stop. Thank you.
Yeah, just for the sake of the audience, Chair, just to clarify, I know we're telling them that is, if we could just allow us to get through the explanation, ultimately the commission can ask more questions. They can also bring up the applicant to further clarify. But yeah, if just, everybody's given an opportunity to speak and not interrupt, we appreciate it that you follow those requirements also, while staff's trying to get information to the commission so that they're well informed in making a decision. I just wanted to also just further clarify, there's clearly kind of a very basic identification of potential events, but I think it's best to just go to the source document. So I wanted to just bring your attention to Exhibit D, which is the application that the Armenian Cultural Foundation submitted. And on the on D2, the back section of it, it lists the types of events that they're considering. So that way you can take a look at it. And just for the sake of the public, it notes occasional live entertainment, cultural performances, poetry, dancing, drama, polling stations, BUSD town halls, Department of Homeland Security training, citizen classes, U.S. citizen training, Armenian Relief Society food donation, Armenian genocide commemoration events, and then the annual Armenian Christmas gathering and community health and wellness events. And I think that's the range of the community serving type of events that they're wanting to have at that location. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to your attention. I think, and I don't know, Joe, if you can clarify, I think there was a question regarding the van pool services or similar services, and it's, how many do they envision vans? to
Yes,
have?
I think there was a misunderstanding that it was going to be 10 passenger vans. These are 10-seat passenger vans. So there's not going to be 10 passenger vans coming for pickup and drop off.
Yeah, and I just wanted to kind of add that information, and then if the commission so desires, we can ask the actual business operator to further clarify any questions you guys may have.
Understood, thank you. Does the applicant or their representative wish to make any further comments? You'll have a maximum time of 10 minutes.
Hello again, and thank you for the opportunity. I just want to clarify a couple of things that has been mentioned. Unfortunately, I personally have not met any of our neighbors. I've been managing the center for last, 7, 8 years, since 2018 or 19. 24 hours, it's all volunteer work, nobody is paid. We are all volunteer 100%. There is no one employee at the center. All we do is volunteer for our kids, for our community, to make sure the kids are out of the streets, out of the wrong, and doing the good, all that. Bringing in the daycare center, basically just to help us to manage our financials, because we are all based on donations. And we go out to the community 24/7, literally asking, begging for donations in order for us to keep the center doors open and helping people, kids out of the streets. So the daycare center, that it's the daytime, we're paying mortgage, we're paying all the utilities and expenses, but the daytime, the center is closed, unused, and a waste of space and waste of money in a sense. So daycare center, that's what it's going to help us with, financially at least. Of course, bringing some of the elderlies and communities that they have nothing to do, nowhere to go, brings them together and keeps them in a good environment, environmental plus the health and medical help that they will do. The parking situation, what was mentioned, or the street situation, I know for a fact our center and our members, we have multiple times had many meetings with them, with every member, whether they're basketball players, whether they're community members, they come in for a town hall meeting or whatnot, that do not park on any double street parking, any blocking on the parking. Unfortunately, this recent couple of years, this is happening. I have noticed it also. However, I want to assure our residents, our neighbors, that none of those issues that you have just mentioned are from our guests or people that comes to our center. As mostly, and I don't want to rat on anybody else, but it's not ours, it's the cross-street neighbors. That's the tenants that come in and drop off and pick up the kids, and they're very little kids in all ages in a way. But that's what it is. If you have any other question, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you very much. All right. Does the commission have any questions for staff or the applicant?
I have some, sorry, can I start with staff, actually? Did you want staff or applicant?
Sure. We'll start with questions from staff, and we'll probably, I saw Commissioner Bennett, then I saw Commissioner Mendez. We'll start with the two of you, and I suspect the other two will.
I wanted to go back to the 10 van question, because I actually did the same math the commenter did. Because I guess what I heard you say was that there are going to be 100 people in the daycare, and the vans contain 10 people apiece. And so I did math. I said that's 10 vans. So
it's a 10-seat passenger van.
Right.
The adult daycare, we're putting a maximum of 100 participants.
Yes.
But that that doesn't mean 100 participants are coming. It's just a
Of course.
maximum.
Yeah, no, I get that. So I think the question from the public comment, though, was where do the vans go after they drop off?
Yes, so we have this, if you look at conditions, so condition number 30, this is page 9, the adult daycare service shall store vehicles on site or outside of the adult daycare service hours of operation and may not take up the existing 8 spaces. The vans cannot utilize on-street parking overnight in the vicinity of the project site. So they aren't allowed to park on site or nearby unless there's on-site parking available.
Okay. My other question was, I understand that state law says that we cannot mandate parking for this because of its proximity to the Metrolink station.
We can't impose parking minimums.
Cannot impose parking minimums, yes.
Yes.
So do conditions 16 and 17 not constitute a parking minimum? The ones about requiring the off-site event parking?
Well, no, we're not imposing a parking minimum. We're just saying that they have to secure parking off-site. We're not saying that they have to provide, a certain number of spaces. We're just saying that they have to secure parking off-site through a shared parking, parking
If I can clarify.
Please do.
So the findings that need to be made for a conditional use permit,
Yes.
look at the proposed operational use as well as its impact to adjacent, on-site and adjacent land uses. So one of the ways of addressing that is because it's not being applied to the actual use itself in the sense of the daycare, the adult daycare facility, but when they have the special events, if the special events create an overflow effect, in other words, they're exceeding the capacity of the street parking, they're exceeding the capacity of the facility.
Okay.
Typically, event operators will be like, we have an alternate location where we can
Sure.
shuttle people from or have them park and come to the facility.
Sure.
So if they exceed the capacity on-site and the adjacent facility, and that results in creating impacts to the use, to the site or the adjacent uses,
Okay.
then to be able to make the finding, or for us to recommend the finding to you,
I
is
see.
they have to have a relief valve to that, and that is by addressing that use impact for the events by providing an off-site facility.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. I'm good.
Okay, I have a question regarding the parking as well.
Sure.
Is there a reciprocal agreement anywhere? Because currently there is an agreement that they no longer want to comply with?
No, they, and the applicant can probably further elaborate, but my understanding is that they currently don't have an off-site agreement. There wasn't a condition originally that required them to seek out
Right.
a third party. And that, in a sense, actually under state law too, with some of the requirements, no longer requires the city to be a third party to those shared agreements. So because AB 2097 removes the minimum requirement, then in essence, that standard, which would have applied to the requirement that would have otherwise applied to meeting a standard with off-site parking is no longer applicable. So the alternative to that is for them to, in the case of them wanting to implement special events, is for them to have parking overflow if the results that the events themselves are going to create a potential impact.
And that doesn't impact the city at all? It's on them, or how?
Well,
does that work?
as far as impact, I think if you're asking whether we have something to do with ensuring that, it's a condition of approval. So if at some point in time they have issues with the special event, and the fact is that they're having overflow issues, then as noted in one of the conditions, it says that the director can now request for them to identify specifically where the overflow parking is going to be. And it could change from event to event, but they would have to then at that point show the city where are your locations where you're anticipating to have overflow. There are facilities, there's an adjacent facility facing the hotel, the common ground location, which is, has different operational demands. There's surface parking on a private property diagonally across from common grounds. It's across from the hotel, and there may be the potential for parking at the IKEA parking lot, which is something that they've previously reached out to. But those are the things that they would have to determine. We wouldn't dictate where, it just has to be within walking distance of the location.
Specifically, that condition was condition number 16 that gives city development, community development director or designee the ability to request documentation on a parking arrangement.
So I don't know if this question is for the applicant or for the city. I was curious if there, for the adult daycare, is there another way for the adults, because I noticed there's stairs, is there another way to access the property?
Yes, there's a ADA accessible ramp that leads to the front of the building.
Okay.
Joe, can you clarify, is it, because we say in the report, we say front entrance from
Sorry,
inside the parking lot?
The entrance from the parking lot.
Entrance from the parking
Because
lot.
when I walked by there and all I saw were stairs, and I thought, well, how are these people going to, is there an elevator? Is there another access on the first floor?
I can have the applicant if he wants to come up in further.
That's a good question. Yes, you can see it from outside, but we do have two ramps. One in the front, right next to the stairs on the side that goes around it's about 50 feet long. And then we have one more, just added actually recently in the back of the building that gives you access directly to the back of the rooms in the back.
Okay.
So we do have it.
And if I may, Chair, just for Commissioner Mendez, their proposed access to comply with ADA requirements when they go to do the tenant improvement work to accommodate the use.
Okay.
The building division has to ensure that they meet the requirements under federal law, so they would have to have the proper access points, and if there's anything that's deficient, they'd have to bring it up to code. So if the ramps are not proper slope,
Okay.
they're not the proper distances for switchbacks to come and give the proper slope to get in and out of the facility, they would have to accommodate those requirements.
And that access is currently there now, but if a problem arises, then, okay.
If they're going to propose and you were to approve the use and they were going to proceed with the use, that's one of the things that building division would actually be looking at. So it's one thing to approve it from a zoning standpoint, but then they still have to get the proper permitting from building and safety so that they would ensure that that is in conformance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Van Gorder, you look like you have questions.
Yeah, I have a couple. I'm not sure how to couch this either. But I mean, I'm a big fan of the Blue Room and the Eagle Tavern over there, and they have a pretty aggressive towing program, which is if you park in the Blue Room's parking lot and you go someplace else, then they will try to find you, and if they can't find you, then the car gets towed. What recourse do the locals have to get cars removed from driveways? Because apparently that's a pretty consistent problem.
I think one of the speakers noted that they had talked to the police department. The police department had told them to call if someone is blocking the driveway. But I think there's another way to kind of make it more direct to the operator. And that is in the letter that was included in your attachment, there were some components where including information for your business tenants or visitors to your location. If the commission so is inclined, I think it would be good for both, like, hey, new users of the location, whether it's for the people that are dropping people off or for the children, is annually to give them kind of a form that says, help us be a good neighbor. Please make sure you're not doing X, Y, Z, blocking driveways, parking and, double parking, all the requirements that are kind of written into the conditions, is to take that and put it in a kind of a one-page information sheet. And we've done that when it comes to like child daycare facilities. We've had things where the commission has, or us, as staff, has required them to provide these handouts. And then with that, also note that if you fail to comply with those requirements, those could be grounds for not being allowed to participate in the programs. But I don't want to write a check with someone else's checkbook. So I'm just saying these are things that have occurred in the past, but if the commission so desires that something like that, an informational requirement that says how to be a good neighbor, both when parking, picking up, that may be something, if you want to include that as a condition, I would probably suggest to the commission that you ask the applicant directly if they have something similar to that they hand out. Can they have something? And I would suggest, though, that to Mr. Inyabuchi's point, that the code, the condition of approval regarding the community liaison representative at the location, that it be extended so that it's, that information is readily available both on the entrances, so there's an actual number to call, so that people don't have to try to chase somebody down if it is someone related to the event, but then also to actually distribute with mailer to everybody within 1,000 feet, like we did the notice, the information for who the community liaison is, so that that information is available for the public. And I did want to touch on the point that I think someone mentioned they didn't receive the notice. We'll go back and double check, but we have signed affidavit that notes the list of all property owners and residents that received it, so we can go back and confirm who did or didn't receive it from that. But based on what we understand, that was the latest tax assessor's roll information, and that's who gets the mailer. So I just wanted to make sure we clarified that as well.
Cool, thank you. Sir, the applicant, I have a few more questions for you. Yes, basically expanding on what we just heard, I mean, I had some questions here. How can the center better attend to the concerns that you've heard from all your neighbors? I think that we should have an informational requirement as a condition, and to have a number 2 posted where people can, you know, if somebody's blocking, then go to get that information out to people. But either way, can you please commit to a policy of internal enforcement for these rules? Like, I have written down, like, can you commit to a policy of reprimand? But I think that it's been couched a little better.
Well, yes, as much as we can. Obviously, we've done it before, and we've done it multiple times with our members, our guests, and make sure that they don't block, they don't double park, they don't, we try to find a way, a parking location, whatever that, you know, that everybody is comfortable with, and we, you know, within a walking distance. However, yes, we definitely will make whatever is necessary to make it work, you know, within our group. But then again, you know, there are other tenants in the streets. I cannot be responsible, we cannot be responsible for everybody else's actions and be blamed at, because we don't know the car that's parked and blocking somebody else's driveway, not necessarily ours, but just because they're there, automatically we're the biggest organization there, let's attack them. I don't think that's also a fair evaluation in a way.
Yeah, I understand. I can tell that you're going to do your part on behalf of your organization.
Absolutely.
Okay. I had one more question about the events. I'm a little confused as to why, with the daycare expansion, we're getting requests for 24 events at night. But setting that aside, the events that you're intending on having, do you expect to have a lot of amplified sound? Okay.
Honestly, throughout this years, as a nighttime event, we've had maybe 1 or 2 galas that it had larger attendance, and we had music, but that happened indoor in the gym, that it's enclosed, it's way away from everybody and the neighbors and all that. So there's no really sound going out to the neighbors, and that effect, if it does happen. The rest of the events that generally we have, it's town hall meetings, general meetings, community meetings, those kind of things, or smaller events, and we don't rent out the center to the public, so we don't have every weekend parties like a banquet hall and anything like that. We have absolute no intent of doing that. We don't have the manpower to manage it or anything in that factor. So if that is a concern, that will not be an issue.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You good? You're good? Okay.
Sorry, I was just going to say, just to follow up with him, Joseph Onibuchi, Associate Planner, we did have in our conditions of approval that any of the events that the facility does host will be connected to or related to the mission of the youth center. They're not just going to hire, they're not permitted to hire just, you know, outside events and unrelated to the mission of the community youth center. So I just wanted to make sure that was in the record.
Thank you very much. I have couple questions for staff and a couple questions to the applicant, more just to clean up to make sure we're on the same page with our questioning, or maybe we're not on the same page, I don't know. But as far as the event list, with the memo where it says it's on Exhibit D2, is that all inclusive of the events that will be held at the center?
Chair, the way the letter's written, it says, it doesn't say limited to, it says such as. So,
Okay.
So that's, to your question, this is what we've been informed that they're wanting to include. If you want to make it more finite, it's well within the purview of the commission to identify that. It may be good, I think, to ask the applicant, like now you're being asked by the commission, what are the types of events? It's always within your purview to ask for clarity as to like, we need more detail, right? Like you're trying to get assurances of what the types of use are and mitigate and limit the impacts to the neighborhood. I think it's a fair question.
Great, thank you so much. And then going back to AB 2097, I'm not 100% up on all the text of it. Does that null parking requirements for existing conditional use permits, or is it conditional use permits moving forward, or putting forth no parking?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm asking?
Our attorney can also chime in here, Kane. But on our end, we looked at the request. We looked at the request they made to forego the requirement. The condition that was on there for the 41 spaces was imposed when they originally approved the project. They've been operating the ANC in their current state without identified location for 41 spaces. With the study that was done, that was kind of our verification of whether the proposed use would, in essence, qualify for AB 2097 exemption. Can they accommodate their use without creating a situation where continuing to keep that type of a condition in place would be necessary. So it was our assessment that what they were proposing, that the request under AB 2097 could be considered by the commission, and that it would be considered because there was this additional supporting information for the these alternate ways of addressing the parking for the range of uses that they're proposing.
Okay, thank you.
Members of the commission, this is Kane Twin, Senior Assistant City Attorney. Yes, there's a lot of new government code provisions that limit what a city can do, all in the spirit of creating more development and housing, and this is kind of one of them. It basically says that we cannot impose minimum automotive parking requirements on development projects within half a mile public transit. And so courts have interpreted, and a lot of practitioners have interpreted that conditional use of permit approval is a development project, so that's why staff has interpreted it to apply to this project.
Okay. And so current agreements, are those still valid, or are they, what I'm trying to get at is, and I'm not saying we're going to do this, but I want to talk about the argument of, oh, just don't approve it because then the parking minimum is still there. I want to get into the weeds of that.
I mean, I can tell you, we've had AB 2097 requests more than a handful of times.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had sites that have been originally built with a parking standard, and the requests have come forth. They've done tenant improvement work or some improvements. And based on state law, we've had to basically say, you don't have a parking minimum. Many have still retained the parking, but they were at that point no longer deficient because the requirement doesn't apply anymore. But they still retained their parking. It's just we couldn't impose it based on this provision of the law.
Understood. Okay, I have a couple of questions for the applicant, please. Sorry to make you keep on getting up, getting down.
Not a problem. I like the exercise.
Oh, good. I'm glad. All right, going back to the parking, why are you removing why are you asking for the off-site to be removed? Is it because it's state law? Are you finding you're not using it? Your 41 spaces?
The requirement, the state law basically allows it, and who doesn't want to take the law when it's there?
That's fair. Do you, just out of curiosity, I won't hold you to it. Do you use your off-site parking now, or do you find that it's not?
On-site parking?
Off-site?
Yeah, we use off-site
You use
parking.
it?
Of course, the streets, of course, the
Okay.
people coming in, we use the on-site and off-site, obviously. Yes.
Okay. And just to clarify the van math, because I know we're all getting confused, how many 10-passenger vans does your facility have?
From what I know, it's 5.
It's 5, okay. And those are parked overnight? Where are they parked?
When they do, once the event program is finished, they take the guests, I guess, out to the residence, and they park outside somewhere else. They're not on the property, and they're not parking around the property.
Okay.
They're not parking, anywhere near us. They have their own parking lot that they park.
And does each driver manage the van, meaning does the...
Yes, the operator is responsible for the van. We are not responsible for the vans. It's their vans, their drivers, their employees, whatever the case may be. Yeah, they operate it. They bring in the clients, whatever, and then they take it out, take them out, and park the car wherever they park. The next morning, same routine. They pick them up. I guess each driver keeps the van, I would assume. So in the morning, they go and pick up their, patients or clients.
Okay, understood. So it's you hire a third-party company to drive the vans?
The operator of the daycare.
The operator of the
We're not the
daycare,
operator
right.
of the daycare.
Understood.
There's an operator that was going to manage all that also.
Got it.
It's
So the
part of
operator...
their thing.
Okay. All right. So I had questions about the day-to-day of the daycare, but it sounds like you wouldn't be able...
I can try some, but...
Okay. Can you describe... What's a daily day like with adult daycare? What's kind of like a schedule? What do you anticipate?
Well, not particular for this one, but I have some general ideas of other daycares. I'm a real estate broker, so I have worked with other daycares and the businesses, so I somewhat have an idea. Well, in the morning, they drop off, they bring in their clients. When they have a breakfast, they have, during the day, they have breakfast, they have music, they exercise, they have exercise equipment. There's always nurses on the location. They take care of their medication. They help them with their medication or medical. You need basic stuff that they, like it's not a medical facility, but they have, if the patient has or the attendee has medication that they need to have, a pill or something, they just keep an eye on them so they actually have it, take their pill, things like that. Then they have their lunch, they have some entertainment, they play games and backgammons and whatnot, play games, and then after lunch, they all go home.
Okay, understood. Thank you for
But
that.
that's generally, not
Sure.
necessarily everyone is same.
That's helpful because sometimes people don't know what adult daycare is all about. And then as far as the events go, are you willing to have in your conditional use permit that you will not rent out your facility?
It is.
No rental.
I think-
It is?
I think-
Okay, I just want to make.
It is, yes.
It is an
That
item
will-
in there?
Will
I just
not be
want-
in a banquet hall, definitely not.
Okay, I just want to confirm.
Yes.
From staff and make
Yes.
sure. And then, are you willing to also commit to, in your conditional use permit, having a sign on the premises saying, please respect the neighbors, do not block driveways? You're not willing to do that?
There's no second doubt about that.
Oh,
I'll have it done next week.
Oh, you'll have it done next week?
That's the easiest part,
Fantastic. We
honestly.
like that. And then what about distributing a written notice to your patrons once a year? Are you comfortable doing that, or is that?
You know what? I don't 100% commit with you, to you. Why? Because of the cost. I don't know what the cost would be. We have to print a couple of thousand of them, and of course, those will be wasted here and there. But once you hand it out, verbally, we have general meetings, the different groups, and we always announce it, enforce it, and during the events, we always have somebody outside trying to manage somehow. But I don't want to commit it, but we'll do our best to do that. Sure.
Okay. And then, are you comfortable with the sign being English, Spanish, and Armenian? Is that?
We could do that. Yeah.
Okay. And then as far as the live, or as far as the music goes, how many times would you say that you typically have music?
I don't know, maybe 3-4 times a year.
Okay.
We really don't have that many. We haven't had any like big galas, big events, and anything that we do at the center, it's all about fundraising.
Interesting.
It's not about parties. It's not about just because we want to. It's all about fundraising. If we do anything, it's about fundraising.
Of course.
And then really, it's not that many.
Okay.
We do have other events. We have like bazaar, Christmas market, so-called, or whatever. We have had that in the past. Just last 2 years we haven't had it, but previously we had it. So that's like on a Saturday or a Sunday that during the day that people come in, and some community stores or small mom and pop shops come in, and just that also just fundraising, bringing people to the center, introducing them to the center, and some fundraising with it.
Okay. And there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious, would you be comfortable limiting your live music to once a month, or is that not something that you'd be willing to entertain?
You know what? If you want me to lie to you, yes.
Okay.
No,
I don't want.
You know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, and I
That's
don't want
fine.
to. Today I'm there. I'm managing it. I can say yes. Tomorrow I'm not there. Somebody else does it. They're gonna play. I don't know. So I don't want to commit anything that I can't guarantee.
No,
I
that's.
can't control. But I tell you for sure that any music that there is, it's indoors. And there is rarely ever there's music outside or loud enough music. We have had gathering like fire around the fire or something, kids gather and sing, but that's not an amplified event. It's just the kids, the scouts getting together and doing bonfire kind of thing. Not about bonfire, but in that kind of a concept.
I appreciate the honesty. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. I think that's it for me. Do any commissioners have any other questions? No questions? You're good, Commissioner Mendez? No more questions? Okay. All right. Seeing no more questions, the Planning Commission will now deliberate. What is the Planning Commission's pleasure? Commissioner Mendez? Oh, I thought you were.
I was turning it off. I didn't realize it was so long.
I'm happy to
Commissioner
approve, given the discussion that we had this evening.
Okay. Are you moving to approve as written or as amended, or what are you, what's
I
your
was just
temperature?
expressing an opinion. If someone else
okay.
wants to make a formal motion, I'll let
Oh, no,
one or
no.
two of you do.
I was just,
No, that's fine.
I'm taking your temperature.
Yeah. 77 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Commissioner Van Gorder?
I mean, shouldn't it be much higher than that? Isn't 77 like a
Internal or
bad-
external temperature? I hope my
Okay.
skin is not 100 degrees. That'd be
Concerned
bad.
about your health, my man.
I appreciate it.
I think I'd be a lot more comfortable if the informational requirement as a condition was part of the agreements here, and the number to call posted. Like I'm sure we can trust them to operate in good faith. But is that are those two conditions written down in our attachment one here?
No, we would, I believe, have to.
There's,
They are.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Please.
So one was, we were making a suggestion that, and it sounds like that's what you're discussing right now. You're deliberating, so I'm just trying to read the tea leaves here with you. That there's one condition on community liaison that was specifically geared towards special event. But if I'm reading what you're saying, Commissioner Van Gorder, is that you would want it, that community liaison to be information that's available just generally operationally for the facility throughout the entire operation, not just for special events.
Yeah, if there's
That
a
one.
number to
Yeah.
call, if there's a problem with the parking, then they need to
Yeah.
have some sort
Contact
of
information, signage, all
Perfect.
that. I think we can work on that language to if that's one, you're still deliberating, so I'm just trying to channel what Commissioner Van Gorder is saying. So that's one thing, is amend that condition so that it's a requirement across the board, just operationally, for them to provide easy access to community liaison information, and that there's proper signage that shows that information. The other one that I heard you say was we asked the applicant, and as much as I appreciate the honesty from the applicant, but I also, it also is very reflective of why we have conditions of approval, because on the city side, there's an enforcement trigger, and that is whether that particular person is there or not, those requirements run with the land, so they are recorded against the property. So if there is failure to comply, there is a recourse both for the city and for members of the public, because that's one of the things the public's going to ask of you is, well, how are they going to abide? So with that said, if you so desire and the commission agrees to include that, you could add a condition that says that they have to provide basically a handout to all participants or all people that attend that is kind of like a good neighbor policy that identifies the things like as far as double parking, not blocking driveways, maintaining certain levels of respect for the neighbors, those kind of things. When we can work, staff can work with the applicant to provide that information. I acknowledge, yes, there's a cost to it, but this is a request being made of the commission, so it's well within your purview to require that that be a condition. And in the grand scheme of things, if that is the tipping point to consider approval, that is something that, if it is conditioned, that'll be a requirement for them to proceed with the project.
Yeah, I would like very much to proceed with that, especially given that it may work in the applicant's favor in that if they get complaints, if they get 3 more complaints, then they have to work out a whole other alternative parking situation, which might end up costing more than the printing costs of 500 to 1,000 pieces of literature. So please add that as a condition. Oh, I propose that be added as a condition.
You're having a discussion,
So
sorry.
are we saying that will be a trigger for all the conditions, or is it just for the parking issue?
Sorry, you lost me.
Okay. My concern is, okay, there are a lot of conditions, but how will they be enforced? How will we know that something is, they are not complying? So is that what this proposal is for, what you're suggesting?
I'm not suggesting an enforcement mechanism as much as just in addition to the things like a sign is easy enough to check on.
Right.
Anybody can say there is or isn't a sign. And I think that if there were local businesses in the area, I suspect that they could go to the premises and see if the literature was printed or provided or in places that are obvious as part of a good faith program to be good neighbors.
Right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt
What
you.
I'm referring to is enforcement of the conditions. How will those be enforced if there is any violation?
I think that's
Sure.
the city, but for
Yeah.
everyone.
Chair, if I may, this is part of your deliberation. You've asked a question,
Right.
Commissioner Mendez. The enforcement requirements, at the end of the day, if we receive a complaint or we identify that there is something that is not being done in compliance with those conditions of approval, then the city actually does the enforcement action. They do what's called a notice of violation. We actually provide them with written notifications, specific conditions that are not being complied with, and then they're given a reasonable period of time, usually within like a 30-day window. Depends on the level of the violation. If it's a life safety issue, it's not 30 days. It has to be like, you have to address this immediately. But let's just say within that range, a reasonable period of time. And then if they fail to comply, then we ratchet enforcement up. So in other words, the worst case scenario would be failure to comply results in us scheduling what they call a revocation hearing. And that would actually come back to the Planning Commission. And you would then consider the violation, the failure to comply, and whether that warrants, in essence, removing their conditional use permit, which is significant because it would remove all the benefits of having a conditional use permit to operate at that location. So that in a nutshell, collectively, is how the conditions would be enforced.
Okay, so I want to push back here for a second because I feel like we're conflating a couple of issues that I think should be teased apart, right? There are concerns, there were concerns expressed tonight by the community about their existing operations, but I would take the position that those are not in front of us tonight. Like, we're not relitigating their existing approvals, right? There's one part of what we are litigating, not literally, which is the adult daycare, where I don't believe there are any particular concerns about the impact on the surrounding businesses, right? I don't think the vans are going to be parking in everyone else's parking lots, right? And then there's the third part, which is kind of the expansion of the conditional use permit, which is what the conditions are attached to. But I guess I heard you, Commissioner Van Gorder, as trying to sort of attach conditions that really apply to their existing permit to their new permit, which I guess I think maybe is not fair.
I'd like to push back a little bit there in that we've got the events as part of the conditions.
Yes.
The daytime, the adult daycare is also looping in this thing for 24 events that will be at night. So we do have in front of us something.
Well, the adult daycare is not looping in the events. Those are separate concerns.
But it is part of the same application that's in front of us as the CUP.
Right.
So I think that gives us latitude to talk about their operation all for the full day.
Commissioners, if I may, a conditional use permit at its essence is trying to condition some type of land use so it will remain compatible with the rest of the neighborhood so we can allow it to happen. And so there was an existing CUP, it gave certain rights. It sounds like there's some neighbor complaints that could be related to the previous operations from that CUP. You're right, today we're talking about a new CUP, in essence amending the previous CUP. So it's asking for permission to operate this new use. And so our discussion in some ways should be limited to that. But I do think as an operational concern and based upon some of the information that we've been provided, we could draw a nexus of connection between what the use is going to be at the site and what your conditions are. As long as we could support the connection while we're imposing that condition with the land use and show that it makes harmonious compatibility with, the ways the location is supposed to be at, I think we can impose that condition. The only limitation is if we want to create something that is totally unrelated to the proposed application, right? That's when you're going to run into trouble. So you do have some leeway here. From what I've been hearing, things about the operational requirements about designating community liaison for impacts so it could be handled, and information about what the limitations of the facility are, what the limitations of the parking are. I think that's, to me, something that it was related to what I've been hearing, and I think that's something that you guys can suggest if that's something you want to include in this as new conditions.
Okay, very good.
If we wanted to proceed then with these two additional conditions, we would then instruct the planning department to come back with a new resolution for our next meeting? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't think we need to come. In the past, we've made conditions. I'm just thinking of even like for a car wash where we've imposed additional conditions and said, and included it in our approval of a conditional use permit. So what I would say and what I'm understanding is including a condition of signage in, if the commission desires, in English, Spanish, and Armenian, just about not blocking driveways. And I believe Mr. Ramirez was saying that this is a pretty common sign that they do. And then the other question was a written notice to their patrons once a year if the commission, that's the commission's purview, we can do that. I'm seeing a nod from Commissioner Van Gorder. Okay. So we could put those two things in. Is there any further discussion on the CUP, the findings?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Did you want to break it down any further?
I'm good.
Okay.
I just think we got number 45 and number 46 on our very long list of conditions.
Right. Okay. I'll say that I can make the findings as we're amending for this. I recognize the significance in the community that that the complex allows, and I think it's great that the youth have somewhere to go. I think its community events are great. I mean, it looks like by the list you have a very long roster. I am very, very concerned about the parking requirements and the traffic requirements, but I have to go by the study that we've used this transportation company before, so I know that they're good. What I would recommend, and we can't necessarily say this, but I would recommend, sir, touching base with some of the neighbors here tonight, maybe exchanging contact information and just trying to, if there is animosity, maybe just trying to speak to each other, and that goes on both sides, just to see if you can rectify an issue. I would very much recommend that, but obviously we can't make that a requirement tonight. Would anybody like to further deliberate? Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Did I? Oh, yeah.
No issues. I just want
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to let the commission know that there's several ways we could go about this, right? I mean, the one option, it sounds like where we're heading is there's a leaning towards approval with some modifications. Now, if that's the route we want to take, we could make the modifications right now on the record. It's been a while since I've written conditions of approval on the fly, but I could take a stab at it if that's the preference of the commission. Or the other option is for the commission to give us direction and approve it and return with resolution to be ratified or adopted at the next meeting. Those are the two options. The first option, obviously, we have some certainty right now on this item and the conditions in the books. The second option, everyone could look at it and make sure it all is exactly the way you want it written. So that's the pros and cons of those two options.
I find the first option to be thrilling.
Okay. Find it thrilling. Okay. I'll say to that, I mean, this project starts with 1-9. It's been around the block for a little bit, and so I really, and I know that there's a lot of different factors. I'm not beating up on staff. Let me just state that, but I'm comfortable with option 1 as well. Would anybody like to make a motion?
So, Chair, if you're open to option 1, I did take a stab at the 2 conditions. So now's the time to tell me if I'm totally crazy and didn't hear you guys right. I think after the conditions are read, though, I think it might be a good idea to ask the applicant to confirm that they're okay with the conditions before the final vote. But for the 2 conditions, I see condition number 45, permittee must designate a community liaison to coordinate site-related issues, including complaints related to queuing, idling, double parking, or drop-off pickup activities. And then condition number 46, permittee must provide notice, including signs or written informational pamphlets, subject to the satisfaction of the community development director about parking limitations. The written notice has to be in 3 languages, English, Armenian, and Spanish, and it has to be provided at least once per year to all participants or users of the site.
I like everything except the word "or" in the second one there, saying signs or written informational. It should be and.
I'm okay with that too.
And just one last tweak on the first one, when it lists the different conditions under which the community liaison, we should include blocking of driveways. I don't think we had that in there too.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we making a motion?
Are we?
Commissioner Van Gorder, you,
So
yes.
if those conditions of approval, as we kind of discussed right now, works for the commission, we could make a motion to approve the resolution subject to modifications that add conditions number 45 and 46. And you could just say so moved if you don't want to repeat what it said.
Oh, I mean, didn't we need to bring up the applicant to
Yes.
make sure that
Yes.
that's doable? Or that's
My apologies.
acceptable?
Yes, that's a good practice. I should listen to myself.
Sir, could you come up here one more time? Thank you. Are you okay with those requirements on your conditional use permit?
Once a year, passing out a pamphlet.
Yep.
And putting a sign on the building, 3 languages that don't park in the street, don't cover driveway, block the driveways. I
Yes.
don't know how big of a sign would that be if we have to word out all those stuff, unless it's gonna be very tiny words, letters, but then again, yes, it's not a problem. We can
Thank
do
you.
it. It's just a matter of how big that lettering is gonna be.
And the liaison.
And the liaison, like I said, it's a volunteer organization.
Yes.
But we'll put a phone number in there, and whoever picks it up, that will be the liaison at that point. I mean, I can't put a name to that.
Sure, but there'll be a
just phone
number with the community
Yes.
liaison, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And just so they're clear, the reason they're asking you this is if they're contemplating approving it, these would be conditions upon which the approval would be granted.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Those are not an issue.
Thank you for
I
your
just don't want
cooperation.
don't want you, or I'm asking you, please, don't punish us for somebody else's mistakes.
Of course.
That's all I'm asking.
This isn't a punishment.
No,
We're
no, I'm just generally speaking.
trying to balance the equities of that.
I'm a commissioner myself. I know how hard it is to go through this.
Thank you for your
process.
public service.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. First by Commissioner Van Gorder, second by Commissioner Mendez. Any further discussion?
And just to clarify, Chair, that includes the two conditions as provided by the city attorney?
Yes, it does.
Alrighty, thank you.
So moved.
All right, Madam City Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Chair Wick,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Gorder,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Mendez.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving on. Sorry, I have to find the correct piece of paper. Moving on to item number 2. Now is the time and place for the public hearing of project number 22-0007823, a request for the conditional use permit and development review to allow the demolition of a 47,188 square feet of an existing building with the retention of 13,136 square feet of the building area and an addition of a new 162,536 square foot, 4-story building for an existing public storage facility, extra space storage at 2801 Thornton Avenue. The project site is zoned general industrial M2 with a general planned land use designation of institutional. Before we begin, have any planning commissioner members had any legal, financial, or any other conflict relating to this hearing?
No.
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 No, I'm hearing 4 no's. Have any planning commissioner members had any communications, including written or oral, with any person regarding this project?
No.
No.
No. No, I'm hearing 4 no's. Mr. Ramirez, have the notices as required by law been given?
Yes, they have.
All right. Are there any written communications on this matter?
Not for this item, we didn't receive any written communications.
Thank you. Will the representative of the Community Development Department please introduce yourself and summarize the matter for us?
Good evening, Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Joseph Onibuchi, Associate Planner. The project before you this evening is a request to allow for the demolition of 47,188 square feet, retention of 13,136 square feet of existing building area, and the addition of a new 162,536 square foot 4-story building for an existing public storage facility located at 2801 Thornton Avenue. Next slide, please. The site is approximately 2.01 acres and is surrounded by commercial industrial uses with high-density residential across Thornton Avenue. The project site is currently developed with a 4-building self-storage facility that is outlined here in red. Next slide, please. The project is located in the M2 General Industrial Zone and is surrounded by other uses in the M2, as well as Fire Station Number 13, which abuts the property to the east and is the subject of Plan Development 91-3. Multifamily residential properties are located in the R4 zone across the street, as shown on the image to the left. And the property has a general plan land use designation of institutional, which provides city facilities, public schools, flood control channels, railroad tracks, and other public and private institutions. The site is operated as a public storage facility since the existing building's construction in 1994, and the proposed expansion remains consistent with the intent of the institutional designation, which states as a goal that Burbank's institutional uses provide valuable community services. This project would allow an existing community serving business to expand while maintaining compatibility with the surrounding development. The applicant requests approval of a conditional use permit and development review to allow the demolition of 47,188 square feet, retention of the 13,136 square feet of existing building area, in addition of a new 162,536 square foot four-story building for the existing public storage facility on the project site. The total building area will be 175,672 square feet within a new four-story building, and will include 30 parking spaces as shown on the project plans. This is the existing site. As you can currently see, there's an office space, and then we have the storage facility, single-story facility behind. Next slide, please. And then as shown in the photos above, the property is surrounded by fire station number 13, located on the top left, which abuts the property to the east. We have multifamily properties located directly across Thornton Avenue, like the one that you see at the bottom photo, in the R4 zone. And then at the top right, we have M2 zone retail buildings abutting the site to the west. BMC Section 10-1-502 requires Planning Commission approval of a CUP for public storage facilities that are residentially adjacent, as defined in BMC Section 10-1-203. Residentially adjacent means any commercially or industrially zoned property located within 150 feet of any residentially zoned property, and the project is approximately 65 feet from R4 zone property across the street. For this assessment, city staff considered considered 1, whether the project is consistent with the Burbank 2035 general plan, 2, whether the project complies with BMC zoning regulations, 3, whether the proposed use would be compatible with other uses in the surrounding area, and 4, whether the project complies with all findings required for CUP approval. This proposed project is consistent with all requirements necessary for approval. Burbank Municipal Code Section 10-1-14084B requires 1 parking space for every 1,000 square feet of adjusted gross floor area for warehouses and buildings used in whole or in part for storage purposes. Based on the proposed square footage of the building, the project would require 175 parking spaces. However, the project site is within an area subject to Government Code Section 65863.2, also known as AB 2097, which limits local agencies from imposing minimum parking requirements for certain developments located near major transit stops. As such, the project is not subject to the minimum parking requirements of BMC Section 10-1-1408, though the project proposes 30 parking spaces, including 20 standard spaces, 2 Americans with Disabilities Act accessible spaces, 2 spaces reserved for electric vehicles, and 6 spaces designated for clean air vehicles. Next page, please. Staff has included several conditions of approval to ensure safe and orderly site operations, including that best management practices shall include but are not limited to designation of approved haul routes, trucking haul routes for all construction-related activities, scheduling of deliveries to avoid peak traffic hours to the extent feasible, and on-site management of loading and unloading activities. The applicant shall ensure that construction vehicles do not block travel lanes, driveways, or sidewalks, and shall comply with all applicable city requirements related to traffic control and construction operations. Additional BMPs shall include dust control, debris management, and measures to minimize noise and vibration consistent with applicable Burbank Municipal Code standards. Staff is also including a condition on the office hours, which are to be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, with specifically the office hours going from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Considering the categorical exemption analysis, which staff has provided in Exhibit E, staff recommend that the Planning Commission find the project is categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15332, Class 32, pertaining to infill development that would not result in any significant effects related to traffic, noise, air quality, or water quality. The Class 32 categorical exemption is applicable because the project is consistent with the applicable general plan designation and all applicable zoning designation and regulations, and is proposed within city limits on a site of no more than 5 acres, substantially surrounded by urban uses. The project can be adequately served by all utilities and public services, and the project has no value as a habitat for endangered, rare, or threatened species. Public outreach for this project was done in accordance with Burbank Municipal Code Section 10-1-1942, which includes a newspaper notice, mailed notices to tenants and property owners within a 1,000-foot radius, and installation of an on-site sign, all at least 10 business days prior to this hearing. No public comments in support or opposition to this project were received prior to the hearing. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the CUP request by adopting a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Burbank approving a conditional use permit and development review project number 22-0007823 and associated environmental determination. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now invite the applicant or their representative to address the Planning Commission. You will have a maximum time of 15 minutes to make your presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ruben Duarte. I'm Director for Planning Entitlements with Somos Group, acting as representatives for the applicant, Extra Space Storage. We do not have a presentation today, but we are available to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. We will now open the meeting to hear from any persons who wish to speak on this matter. Each person may address the Planning Commission for a maximum time of 3 minutes. For members of the public who wish to comment in person, please present a completed speaker card to planning staff if you wish to speak. For members of the public that wish to comment by telephone, please call 818-238-3335 to address the Planning Commission. Callers will be placed in a queue until all in-person comments have been received. The phone lines are now open. Please bear with us as it may take a couple of minutes for the first callers to get through the line. For callers, please remember to lower the volume on your TV or computer and take your phone off speaker when you deliver public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers here tonight or callers on the line?
We do not have speakers or callers.
All right, we'll give it 1 minute. No. All right, there being no further public comment on this item, I now declare the public comment period closed unless it was Scott or was Mr. Planbeck. Oh, okay. I just was making sure that wasn't like a flagging because, all right.
So you're good to go.
No last minute public storage people, okay. Would the representative of the Community Development Department like to make any further comments?
No further comments at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Does the applicant or their representative wish to make any further comments? You have a maximum time of 10 minutes. No. I'm seeing a no from the gentleman in the audience. Does the commission have any questions of staff or the applicant? Any questions?
I just had one question for staff. I was just curious, I understand we normally mandate operational hours. Why are the office hours additionally mandated in the CUP?
I wouldn't say they were mandated. These were offered by the applicant, so we just included them in the staff report.
Oh, okay. I guess I interpreted this as if they wanted to not open the office until 10 o'clock, that would violate their permit or something. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not at this. No,
thank you. Okay, no problem.
These are their proposed office hours.
Okay, no problem.
Any further questions?
I just have a question. Am I on?
It's just far.
Yes. I noticed that there is some construction going on across the street for 4 units, right across the street from this project. So I don't know about the permitting time and so forth and so on. So, I was just wondering the timing, do they have their permits? When are they going to start construction on either project?
I wouldn't be able to speak to the construction that's going on across the street at this time, but for this project, I can say that once we go through the entitlement, of course, they'll have to go through plan checks, so we're still a ways away from actual construction. But we did try to speak to, obviously we're very sensitive to the fact that there's a residential community across the street, so we want to make sure that there are no adverse impacts to the community from the construction that's caused by this project, and so we've included some conditions of approval to ensure that there will be no adverse impacts to the community.
Yeah, because it shows that there is a 4-unit high-density apartment building going up, and it's all fenced.
I don't want to speak on,
Yeah,
I don't want to
okay.
speak on a project that I'm not sure about right now,
Okay,
but,
I was
Yeah.
just
Keep in mind, this is, the scope of the hearing is for this
Right,
project,
right,
not anything else.
Right, I just, okay.
I think, Chair, if I may, just,
Sure.
you bring up a good point, though. They're both building and safety, public works, they deal with the truck routes, so for like, demo, ingress and egress, as well as building and safety and the issuance of permits. So they'll put the construction, fencing up, and then they'll work with the actual contractor to make sure that there's not going to be potential conflict between construction activity occurring in adjacent or in the immediate vicinity. We also have the fire station
Right.
next door, so it's not lost on us, but it is something that city staff, when I say city staff, the collective city staff will be working with the applicant to make sure that once they initiate that process, we're not in conflict, both for emergency egress and access, but also so that we're not creating a situation where we have two construction efforts that are occurring and all of a sudden they're creating a bottleneck in the street. So that will be addressed as well.
Right, because it's just 2 lanes. It's, it's a really
correct, yeah.
tiny street.
So, but we have, I anticipate they will be coordinating with the inspectors, and then they'll be providing that information to the traffic engineering staff and public works to make sure that they ensure that there's not going to be that conflict.
Okay.
Any further questions? No? All right, I have no questions. I will now declare the public hearing closed and the Planning Commission will now deliberate. What is the Planning Commission's pleasure? Anyone?
Happy to make a motion to approve.
Please.
Sure. Let me make sure I get the wording right here. I will move that we approve project 22-0007823, a request for a conditional use permit and development review to allow demolition of 47,188 square feet, retention of 13,136 square feet of existing building area, and the addition of a new 162,536 square foot 4-story building for an existing public storage facility at 2801 Thornton Avenue.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further deliberation? All right. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Chair Wick,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Gorder,
Yes.
Commissioner Mendez,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to our third and final item. Well, moving on, now is the time and place for the public hearing of project number 26-0001453, a request for a conditional use permit to allow permitted gym Equinox to open at 5 a.m. Monday through Friday during the city's late night business hours, midnight to 6 a.m. The proposed overall hours of operation will be 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday and 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Equinox is a gym located at 3400 West Riverside Drive, Suite 150, Studio Plaza within the Media District Specific Plan and is a Zone Media District Limited Commercial MDC-2. Before we begin, do any Planning Commission members have any legal, financial, or any other conflict of interest relating to this hearing? No.
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 No, hearing 4 no's. Have any Planning Commission members had any communications, including written or oral, with any person regarding this project?
No.
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 No, I'm hearing 4 no's. Mr. Ramirez, has the notices as required by law been given?
Yes, they have.
All right. Are there any written communications on this matter?
We didn't receive any written communications on this item.
All right. Will the representative of the Community Development Department please introduce yourself and summarize the matter before us?
Good evening, Chair Wick and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Narek Mukartumi, an Associate Planner with the Burbank Community Development Department. May I please have the presentation? Thank you. This evening, I'll be presenting an application for a conditional use permit, project number 26-0001453, a request to allow Equinox, a permitted gym, to open at 5 a.m. Monday through Friday during the city's late night business hours at 3400 West Riverside Drive, Suite 150. The business representatives for Equinox are here tonight and will be available for questions that the Planning Commission may have. Next slide. The project site is located within Studio Plaza, an existing 13-story commercial building in the Media District specific plan area. Equinox will occupy portions of the first and second floor that were previously used as a cafe and office. The site is surrounded by the 134 freeway to the north, Warner Brothers Studios to the south, New York Film Academy, and residentially zoned property to the east, and commercial and office uses, along with residentially zoned property to the west. Next slide, please. The site is zoned Media District Commercial, or MDC2, and has a Media District Commercial General Plan designation. Next slide. So what's being requested here? The gym use is allowed by right on the subject site. However, a conditional use permit is required because the 5 a.m. weekday opening time falls within the city's late night business hours, as defined as midnight to 6 a.m., and the site is within 150 feet of residentially zoned property pursuant to BMC Section 10-1-1151, which triggers the need for a conditional use permit. The Commission is not being asked to approve the gym use itself, but rather to consider a 1 hour earlier weekday start time, allowing the facility to open at 5 a.m., and this request is typical for fitness facilities seeking to accommodate patrons who'd like to work out early. Next slide. Equinox is a premium fitness facility as evidenced by the following renderings, offering strength and cardio areas, group fitness studios, spa services, a retail space, juice bar, and related amenities. The facility is expected to employ approximately 100 to 120 staff members, which includes 60 to 70 full-time employees and 40 to 50 part-time employees. The applicant has invoked AB 2097, a California state law that eliminates minimum parking requirements for developments within a half mile of public transit. However, the site was built with 1,160 parking spaces that serves the property, and parking is not expected to be an issue. And this was also vetted by our transportation department. So that's it. Operations will occur entirely within the enclosed premises with access limited to members and their guests. There are no outdoor fitness activities, no outdoor speakers, and no amplified outdoor sound as part of this project or this request. These are photos of the interior tenant space. The applicant has already received building permits and are in the process of completing the tenant improvements. These photos are from a site visit that staff conducted on April 2nd, 2026. The applicant plans to be open by midsummer. Next slide. Here you'll see the plans for the first floor, reflecting some of the services I had mentioned. The first floor includes staff offices, reception, a lounge, cardio and strength rooms, a juice bar, and retail shop. Next slide. And here you'll see the second floor. It's limited to group fitness studios, locker rooms, spa, and yoga studio. Next slide. The public was notified in accordance with the Burbank Municipal Code. This includes the required newspaper notice, public noticing of all occupants and owners within 1,000 feet of the project site, plus property owners from Mariposa Street to Clybourne south of the Ventura Freeway because the project falls within the Media District specific plan area. And although one notice was required to be posted on the property, the applicant did provide two notices, one along Riverside Drive and one along South Avon, to ensure that the public was aware of the project. The project was also posted to the city's website, and to date, one comment was a phone call was received in favor of the project. And that was received today. Next slide. Based on staff's assessment, this project qualifies for a categorical exemption under CEQA under Section 15301 because approval pertains solely to extending the gym's operating hours. Next slide. Staff has made all the required findings, including that the project is consistent with the goals and policies of the Burbank 2035 General Plan, the city's zoning regulations, and that it meets the conditional use permit findings. Next slide. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the conditional use permit for project number 26-0001453, subject to the conditions of approval and the associated environmental determination. This concludes staff's presentation, and staff is available for any questions the Commission may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great. I will now invite the applicant or their representative to address the Planning Commission. You will have a maximum time of 15 minutes to make your presentation.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Lahner with Burns & Bouchard, Planning and Entitlements, representing Douglas Emmett, the owner of the property. I also have representatives of Equinox here should you have any questions about the operation of the facility. In keeping with your previous presenters, I do not have a presentation. However, I do want to thank staff and the department. They've put a lot of diligence into this work. We really appreciate it. And the level of detail they asked out of us as applicants really showed in their staff report. I do want to reiterate one item that staff already identified, but the uses by right, we are hoping to open not just in midsummer, but maybe within the next 4 to 6 weeks, should construction go as identified. And the request is just for that 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. time slot. Otherwise, we are complying with the rules and regs of the zone. Additionally, just as a clarification, no outdoor activities are included within this request, specifically no equipment, no seating, no active operational uses, or anything else within that terrace. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear to the commissioners. Thank you for your time, and again, thank you to staff and the department.
Thank you very much. We will now open the meeting to hear from any persons who wish to speak on this matter. Each person may address the Planning Commission for a maximum time of 3 minutes. For members of the public who wish to comment in person, please present a completed speaker card to planning staff if you wish to speak. For members of the public that wish to comment by telephone, please call 818-238-3335 to address the Planning Commission. Callers will be placed in a queue until all in-person comments have been received. The phone lines are now open. Please bear with us as it may take a couple of minutes for the first callers to get through the line. For callers, please remember to lower the volume on your TV or computer and take your phone off speaker when you deliver public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers here tonight or callers on the line for public comment?
You have 2 speaker cards and no callers.
Thank you. The first comment is Jonathan Lahner. Okay, I just want to make sure. The next card is Kevin M. McCartney. I am so sorry, sir.
I'm sorry. It's my handwriting. My fingers can be as dyslexic as my brain, so.
They look
sorry
great.
about that. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate this. I appreciate Equinox for being here. I'm a resident on California Street, which is right next to this. And I have a couple concerns that I haven't been able to address or contact anybody yet to get the questions. Some of the answers got answered tonight, and that's no outdoor speakers on that patio where they're going to be. Because if they're going to be there at 5 a.m., I was concerned that if there's somebody out there hustling people to go faster and harder, I'm going to hear that. Listen, it's a very unique street, this street, California Street. Next to a major motion picture studio, a major tourist center, and a lot of filming in a neighborhood. All good, and good. Warner Brothers has been an excellent neighbor for many, many years. I've been on that street for a long time now, and I think that what I really enjoy is the neighborhood quality we have there. A lot of good neighbors. My concerns are not necessarily with Equinox, except for that speaker issue, which has been taken care of, as much as a lot of people that are coming into the Warner Brothers tour and from everything else, they're from outside the city, from outside the state. They're driving here. They're unfamiliar with the neighborhood. They don't know it's horse property. They don't know that there's horses coming up and down the street sometimes, and they're not familiar with it. So my recommendation is to put a greater signage at the beginning of the street, or at the beginning of the street next to the alley, to say residential neighborhood horse property. So that it doesn't have to be dramatic, doesn't have to be anything big, but something to let people know that when they're coming there, this is a chance to not have them come down the street. We often get people, and especially during the summer, coming down the street looking for better parking. And so that's the concern. The other concern is On the parking, I was just asked Equinox this, is parking included in the membership? Because I know that there's third and fourth floor down is parking, a lot of parking. But is it included in the membership, or are people going to be looking, like sometimes they do with the tour, they want to look and they find street parking? So that's a concern, that's a question, if I could get that answered. But honestly, I really liked the discussion here today. I thought it was really well done. I think, again, my daughter's a member of Equinox. She loves it. I'm very, very concerned about the issues that we haven't addressed because we can't see them. Okay, so that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Would the representative of the Community Development Department like to make any further comments?
I'd just like to add that there is, thank you. That there is a subterranean parking garage with the 1,160 spaces that I had mentioned, and 200 of those spaces are allocated for Equinox patrons, and 40, so 240 of those are allocated for staff. That's all.
Thank you. Does the applicant or their representative wish to make any further comments? You'll have a maximum time of 10 minutes.
Jonathan Lahner from Burns and Bouchard. I'll address the community members' 2 items. One is with regard to parking. Equinox does provide free parking for their users for 2.5 hours while they're at the gym. So parking is provided for those visitors, and I believe staff identified the amount of parking within the parking structure that is allocated. With regard to the equine uses, it's not directly related to this CUP, but as a representative of the landlord, I'm happy to continue to talk with the community member outside of the CUP process itself and see how we can probably add some additional signage in coordination with the city with regard to those equine uses, whether it's on private property or off private property. We're happy to have that discussion. I don't know that there's a nexus with the 1 hour of the Equinox, but as a good neighbor, we're happy to continue to have that conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Does the commission have any questions for staff or the applicant? Commissioner Mendez.
I also noticed the horse crossing. It's a very small sign. If I wouldn't have walked as much as I did, I wouldn't. And my other question is, the ingress, what are the entrances to the parking structure? Is it on California and Avon, or just Avon?
That's a great question. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm happy to look into that and get back to you.
Okay, only.
Okay.
If we can, Commissioner, if you don't, maybe we can have the applicant just come and speak it into the record on the microphone. We would appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's a hearing for a gym. We're all getting our exercise in. Well, you are, not us.
I need the exercise. Jonathan Lahner from Burns and Burchard. Yes, the 3400 Riverside building has entrances and exits on Riverside to the north and Avon to the west. Should I stay up?
Do any commissioners have any questions for the applicant and/or staff? No, I have no questions either.
Madam Chair? Can I
Yes.
just clarify?
Please.
Actually, the applicant, I was impressed. He used the word nexus, and so I want to give him kudos for that, but I also want to clarify and duly noted that there may be a need for additional signage, but there's not a nexus, or in other words, a direct relationship between the request and the signage. However, duly noted by the comment that we received, that we will follow up with our traffic engineering staff and our transportation planning staff to look at signage as you come into that area to see what can be done to make it a lot clearer. But I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want us to get in a situation where we're trying to impose that as a condition and it's not in alignment. So, but just so that the public's also aware of that nuanced nature.
Thank you for that. All right, seeing no further questions, I now declare the public hearing closed and the Planning Commission will now deliberate. What is the Planning Commission's pleasure?
Chair Wick, I'd like to propose that we extend tonight's meeting because it is exactly 8 o'clock.
Okay, I think we can finish this item, though. And then we can discuss I don't want to make staff or the applicant come back when we're halfway through a hearing, so, yes, but I concur.
Members of the Planning Commission, that actually, I laugh because it seems like someone did read the policies and guidebook. Yeah, there is a council expectation that at the 2-hour mark, the chair note that and ask staff for an estimate for how long the remainder of the items will take. And if it's the pleasure of the commission, you can continue, or you could ask for those items to be moved.
Okay. It used to be 10:45 back in the day for Planning Commission, a long time ago. I'm comfortable with extending at least for this item, and then we can have a discussion on the next item. Okay. Okay. Staff, you're good with, all right, continuing this item?
Of course, Chair.
Okay.
Whatever the commission wants, yes, we will do.
Maybe somebody has to go take a run, I don't know. All right. What is the Planning Commission's pleasure for deliberation?
I'd be happy to move to approve the application.
All right.
I will make a motion to approve project number 26001453, a request for a conditional use permit to allow a permitted gym to operate during the city's late night business hours at 3400 West Riverside Drive, Suite 150.
Thank you. We have a motion.
I second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? All right. Madam Clerk, when we have a roll call, please.
Chair Wick?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Gorder?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Mendez?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, and welcome to Burbank. All right. Since it is 8:02, staff, we have one more item. I know that it's providing feedback. I don't know if you want to continue it, if you...
I would request of the commission if we could consider the item. I don't think it will take more than an hour. It's really up to you on your comments, but we can get the presentation in. It's part of the obligation is of the approval of the Civic Center Library project. One of the conditions is that they would bring forth to the commission the proposed design of the project and get your input. So if we can do that, it would actually help move the project forward and allow our colleagues in library services and their project managers to move the project forward, since they're seeking certain funding requirements. And they're also looking at getting to the point of being able to solicit proposals for a contractor and architect to develop the project. So I don't usually would request this of you, but if we could do that, we had them waiting here diligently, as much as they probably got more planning experience tonight than anybody could have considered. If we could hear them out, I'd really appreciate if you guys can consider that. I think we'll be done within the hour.
Okay. I am fine with that, but I want to ask my fellow commissioners, because I know that some have kids at home, and I just...
I'm good to continue, but I would like a 5-minute break.
Okay. Commissioner Bennett?
Yeah, it's great.
I'm okay as well.
Okay. Yeah, we can take a 5-minute break. Yeah.
So we're going to step down for 5 minutes and we'll be back. Okay.
Thank you. All right, we're back. Now is the time for reports from city staff. There is one report to the commission. Staff is requesting the Planning Commission provide comments of the preliminary design of the new Central Library Civic Center project bound by North Glen Oaks Boulevard, East Orange Grove Avenue, North 3rd Street, and East Olive Avenue on a site-zoned plan development PD 2002-2 with a general plan designation, land use designation of institutional for development review, project number 26-00000745. Before we begin, do any planning commissioner members have any legal, financial, or any other conflict of interest relating to this hearing?
Nope.
No.
No. No, I'm hearing 4 no's. Have any planning commission members had any communications, including written or oral, with any person regarding this project? No.
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 No. Okay. Will the representative of the Community Development Department please introduce yourself and summarize the matter for us?
Thank you. Can I get the presentation on the screen? Good evening, Chair Wick, members of the Planning Commission. My name is David Kim, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department Planning Division. With me tonight also our staff from the Library and Civic Center Project Consultant Management Team, MOCA Services, who will be presenting to the Commission tonight in a few minutes about the conceptual design for the project. Next slide. For this presentation and discussion, staff would like to accomplish 3 objectives. First is to provide a brief update on the project background and status for the Library and Civic Center project. Second, staff will have MOCA Services provide a brief presentation of the project and its conceptual design. And finally, staff is requesting the Commission to provide comments on the project's conceptual design to both the planning staff and the project management team as they take into consideration the Commission's feedback on the conceptual design when drafting the more specific design details of the project plans. Next slide. So plan development 200-2 was approved in 2003 for a new Civic Center master plan in the Burbank's downtown Civic Center area. The project area's boundaries included North 3rd Street, East Olive Avenue, North Glen Oaks Boulevard, and East Orange Grove Avenue. The original project back in 2003 included the approval of a community service building, a new central library, a parking structure within the project boundaries, and also a new administrative city office building at the southeast corner of 3rd and Orange Grove, next to Burbank City Hall. The plan development agreement, and development review for the project was approved with a condition approval that the design for the new library, administrative service building, and the parking structures be processed separately through a development review. The plan development 2002-2 with DR 2002-42 approved the design review for the new community services building and the concept of the project. And the community service building was the only one that was built in 2008. In February 2026, a development review application, project number 26-00000745, was submitted to the city for the new library and civic center project, which included the new civic center and library building, open space, public plaza, and the parking structure. The application included several proposed design changes from the original approval. This included proposing an above-grade parking structure instead of a parking structure with subterranean levels. And in addition, the revised project also proposed to not construct a separate administrative service building at the southeast corner of North 3rd Street and East Orange Grove Avenue. Instead, the new city office proposal will be combined with the new city library building on the southwest corner of East Olive and North Glen Oaks Boulevard on the project site. City staff reviewed the revised project of the approved Civic Center Master Plan project, and the Community Development Director on April 23rd approved the development review project, subject to conditions of approval that were also consistent with the conditions of approval of the original project. Next slide. One of the conditions for the project was to have staff to present to the Planning Commission on the design of the new buildings. Specifically, the Planning Commission will comment on the design elements related to architecture, color, materials, signage, landscaping, open space, public plaza areas. The design review approved the conceptual building site layout and the envelope with the condition that the project would meet specific project requirements and city development standards and regulations. The Planning Commission's feedback on the project is important because it will give the project consultant management team a specific feedback to consider when they are ready to prepare with their team to lay out more detailed specific designs as the project continues to progress along. Furthermore, staff will also bring an update to the Planning Commission on the project's progress to the Commission at a future date. Next slide. I'll now turn it to Min Pan, who is with the project management team.
Thank you, David. Good evening, Chairman, Chairwoman, and Commission members. It's my pleasure today to share some updates on the conceptual preliminary concept for this project. Next slide, please. As David mentioned, the Civic Center and Library project is a phase 2 development of the Civic Block. Next. There are three major project components: a 310 stalls parking structure, a 97,500 square feet building with a maximum building envelope up to 119,000 square feet. Within the building, there are two major component functions: the library and the city offices. Lastly, an open space, 43,000 square feet. Next. Early in the process, the city leadership have identified 4 guiding principles. Next. First and foremost, the community. The projects really should be community serving and should reflect the identity of City of Burbank. And since then, the project team has carried out extensive community engagement activities to gather feedbacks and input. Next. A generational project requires a flexible building infrastructure that can adapt to future needs and technology. Next. And a world-class library needs to be beautiful to provide quality architecture, space, and experience, both inside and outside. Next. Last but not the least, safety is a very fundamental component of welcome in civic experience through a clear sightline inside the library and landscape buffer to safeguard the open space. And the proposed site planning is really works with a broader context of Civic Center, with a plaza anchoring the corner of 3rd Street and Olive. Really connects all the surrounding civic buildings, the City Hall, CSB, Courthouse, and New Future Library, with the parking structure stay low and tucked at corner of Glen Oak and Orange Grove. Next. Here's a site planning showing different program occupying each quadrant of the site. A cafe element is strategically positioned in the center of the site. Here's a view looking alongside of CSB building, looking down on the cafe. It really starts bringing the energy and the pedestrian to draw into the site. Next. The paseo between the future library and parking structure is really important. The design incorporates active program on the ground floor of the garage, really trying to elevate the pedestrian experience. Next. Zooming into the building, the program is really organized around the entry and lobby highlighted in yellow here, with the library massing connects to the open space, and city office and shared program fronting the Glen Oak frontage. Next. Here, there is a significant elevation change along Olive Street, and here's a side section cutting through that. You notice that the massings really start cascading down from 4-story along Glen Oak to 3-story, with the rooftop terrace that really start to speak to the terraced open space all the way down to the 3rd Street. Next. On the ground floor, the lobby really connects the pedestrian, arrive at Olive, and people park in the parking structure. There is a dedicated front door for the library facing the open space as well. Next. The lobby experience really important with light-filled atrium and with welcoming gallery space really to serve as an urban living room for the users and patrons to come in. Here are some ideas and concepts of what that grand stair could look like. Next. And public art is also a very important component, both inside and outside of the building. And transparency is really important for the concept of the design with low shelf height to create clear sightline for safety. Also utilize this indoor-outdoor connection opportunities. On the ground floor, there is a large flexible auditorium plan to accommodate both library programs and a lot of community events. Yeah. On the 2nd floor of the building, on the library side is children's area. On the opposite side is an extra meeting space, both for the city and the public to use. The children's area is really imagined as colorful, fun, and has a safe play area on top of the cafe volume. Next. And the teen will also get a dedicated space in this library to study, gather, and play. On the 3rd floor, on the library side is the library administration functions and special programs. On the Glen Oak side is the 1st level of the city office. Next. The special program includes social services, co-working space, maker space, and recording studios, which really speaks true to what Burbank is about. Next. The top floor of the building have amenity space really supports the rooftop terrace. Facing the open space, and facing Glen Oak is the 2nd floor of the city office function. The rooftop amenity encourage indoor-outdoor connections and also double duty the catering kitchen as a teaching kitchen opportunity to support the library program that the community really inspired to have. Here's a visual of the rooftop experience, looking down from the deck all the way to the city hall here. We believe it's really going to be a very popular and amazing rooftop venue for the city of Burbank. Next. The site strategy really trying to address the constraint of this topographic change, 23 feet, while also embrace a guiding principle to provide maximum flexibility to support all kinds of variety size of events. Next. So the open space really terraced down to 4 different sized terraces based on different program uses throughout the day. Next. So the first tier is a library deck, really acts as an outdoor room for the library, provide indoor-outdoor connections to the library program. Next. Stepping down, the farmers market function. The farmers market tier is really, trying to bring back the farmers farmers market back to the plaza once project's complete. Also with the shade structure, it also supports other different type of events during the weekdays. The lawn and small event areas with the stage really supports small pop-up performance, movie nights, and also just simply a place for the family to sit and have a picnic. Overall, the open space will work together with the architecture of the library to provide a connected experience throughout the site, and that will truly make the Civic Center a destination for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. The Planning Commission will now discuss. What is the Planning Commission's pleasure? Anyone? Commissioner Van Gorder?
Yeah, I love the multi-generational approach. That seems to be the guiding principle here. We also very recently, I was a jurist on the Woodbury University's architecture master's program finals, and a lot of them addressed there's not a lot of public space, wide open public space for as a center civic meeting point in our city outside of the Paseo at in front of the movie theater and AMC and in front of City Hall. And I really love that there's a specific, a quarter of the total project appears to be exactly that, giving people open space that they can use for whatever that they need. And, as someone with a family, I can see bringing my children to this weekly. Yeah, it's lovely.
Thank you.
Teaching kitchen. That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right.
The recording.
Commissioner Mendez?
I think it's great.
Okay. Commissioner Bennett?
I just wanted to say that while I agree that it's very beautiful, that I did want to say for the record that I'm disappointed, and this has been said before, but I'll say it again, disappointed that we traded out space for people for space for cars in this project. I understand that ship has sailed, but your pictures were all very beautiful of people enjoying the area, and then we allocate 25% of the project space to warehouse cars where people can't really be. And I think that's unfortunate. So, but otherwise, it's great, and I appreciate it.
I can appreciate as a regional attraction, though, that they'll need a lot of facilities because we have the Orange Grove parking structure. How many spaces are in the Orange Grove parking structure?
Yeah, we don't have the number right off the top of our head.
Downtown in general has a lot of different parking structures, a lot of different spaces. So,
be a long walk to go from the Yard House to the proposed library. Also given that we're talking about the programming being discussed, a teaching kitchen, I would want to bring my 8-year-old. Hopefully she'll be. I'm assuming this is going to be done next year, so I'm saying that she's 8 years old at this point. Parking next door and then walking her up, but also recording studios. Music equipment is heavy. As a musician, I can attest to just how much of a burden it would be to move equipment from the Orange Grove parking structure to the library here. We've got at present half of that available space. As it's used right now, the existing uses is half parking. So I think that it's a worthy trade-off here. If we're getting 4 stories of a multi-use, it's not just a library. It's not just city offices. It's a maker space, a teaching kitchen. There's a lot of different dedicated spaces that I'm anticipating in here, and I'm excited about all that. I will say I'm a little confused, and maybe it's just a commentary. We've got a Christmas tree and Santa Claus, but these people are wearing T-shirts. Is that just? Do
you know how hot it is here in December?
We've had rainy Christmases. We've had 80-degree Christmases. 23 years in Burbank, I can attest to that.
Given climate change, I'm hoping this project will be completed before T-shirts are expected at Christmas time.
Okay. Any further comments? I don't want to cut you off.
Large flexible auditorium. How big, if you had to guess at the number of seats in a theater? I mean, would it be comparable to the auditorium that Glendale has at their library? Would it be comparable to this room?
It's going to be one seat bigger than Glendale's auditorium.
Nice. I love that.
I think currently
have half the population.
Currently planned for flexible seating of 200.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it?
I mean, probably not, but
Okay, well,
Please-
if you have
please
further,
continue.
you can.
something will come to mind, I'm sure.
I don't want to cut you off. Okay, first of all, thank you to staff for the project. I know this has been a long time coming. I admit when I first saw this project, I was one of those, we don't need a new library, we don't need to replace the central library. I'm sure that there's comments on record that I've said that in the past. I will say, though, after attending one of the workshops and having a tour of the Central Library, that I understand now this is a much needed updated facility, because just given the community, given the emphasis we have on third spaces, the movement to have a very active downtown, I think this is very much well needed. I understand Commissioner Bennett's concerns about the parking. I will say that I definitely echo what Commissioner Van Gorder said. If nothing else, just I go to the farmers market almost every weekend, and parking is tight at the farmers market now, and a lot of people use the existing parking, and it's still a lot, and I can't imagine, as you said, people carrying farmers market bags, heavy bags, all the way to Orange Grove. So yes, housing is important. We have RENA numbers. I'm happy that we have the parking. In a perfect world, I mean, I would love to see the design kind of pay homage to the current Central Library. And, in a perfect world, I'd just like to throw it out there. I'd like to see that building reused, but I don't know how realistic that is, but it's a really cool example of mid-century architecture. The only thing I would echo on the project is, maybe staff can speak to this. I know this is getting a little technical, but the current Central Library is not open on Sundays, and I would love it. I would love this new plaza to be open on Sundays as well. It will be. I'm getting a nod. Okay, good, because, yeah. I think that's it for me. I'm trying to be cautious of the hour and not drone on. Any other discussion? Nothing? All right. Well, this was a report item, so I'm sure that library staff has heard our comments, and everybody has, and so I think that was a robust discussion.
Do we have an idea of timelines?
Yes. The construction was anticipated to start summer 2027, and the project's anticipated to finish spring 2029.
Thank you. Real quick, I know we have our library services director here. Did you want to say anything tonight? Not to put you on the...
Thank you. Eric Lashley, Library Services Director. No, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the comments tonight. We're building a world-class library, and I think you saw that with the different programming that we're doing. I appreciate the comments about parking and things like that. So again, we take it to heart. We'll come back. Again, the design has not been determined besides the size of the facility, but we just did the RFQ for a progressive design build team today. It was released at 5 o'clock today. And again, part of that is it's a whoever we hire for the progressive design build team, it starts all over again, and like their ideas on how it's going to look. Will it have, a mid-century modern look, or a look to matches something to the city hall? That hasn't been determined yet. Just the size and the budget and scope of work like that has been determined, but the design has not been determined yet. But we're looking forward to that. It'll be fun.
And Eric, can you clarify RFQ?
Yes, a request for qualifications for the progressive design build team. And if you're not familiar with progressive design build, that's where we have a contract with the architect and the construction company together. And the progressive part is we as the owners are working in tandem with the design as it goes along. The idea is to make it more affordable and the project go really fast. And that's what Min pointed out, that we hope to break ground next summer and then build it within 18 months.
Will there be any more community workshops down the line for members of the public that if they're interested in getting involved, sharing their opinions?
Yeah, once again, we hire and do a contract for the progressive design build team. The design phase starts all over again. The real design starts at that point, and we will have community engagement efforts at that time again. We're really proud of the number of community engagement we did just to get to this point. And I think that it shows that we haven't had, people who are upset about the project. For the most part, everybody's very excited about the project. It's a long time in coming.
Thank you so much. I'll say that the workshop I attended was very well attended, so that's great to see.
Good. And I appreciate you taking the tour. I think, that was one of my ideas, like people have to see why a 1963 building does not meet a 2026 modern library anymore. But you don't know that until you see it.
Yes, definitely. I encourage members of the public to take a tour. Definitely. Right?
Chair, I
Yes,
would say just to Eric's point, that once they've further developed with the contractors and the design team, and they go and get ready to submit for plan check, we'll come back with a report to you all. So you'll be able to see between the volume and kind of placement of things and exactly the greater detail. We want to make sure we report back to you on that part of it.
Okay. Will it be something similar to what the airport did, where there were 3 different concepts, or is one? No.
We won't like have a contest.
Okay, I'm just curious.
But what I would say about the airport that's similar is they did use the progressive design build method. And you see how that has gone well, and they're going to open, on time, it looks like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything further? All right. We'll move on to, I'm assuming staff, we're finishing off the meeting, right?
We're going to officially note and file the report.
Okay, we're going to officially note and file the report, and all right. Moving on to the approval of the minutes from March 9th, 2026, Planning Commission meeting. Are there any questions, comments, and/or motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve. We have a second. Madam City Clerk, may we have a roll?
Chair Wick?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Gorder?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Mendez?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you, and I just wanted to say that was me seconding. I kind of rolled it into one, so I apologize. All right. Now is the time for introduction of additional agenda items. Planning Commission members may introduce new items for discussion, but no action may be taken except to place the item on a future agenda. Do members of the commission have any items to introduce? No? Seeing none. Now is the time for city planner comments. Are there any comments from the city planner?
There are none.
Seeing none, we will now adjourn to the Planning Commission meeting on Monday, June 8th, 2026 at 6 p.m. This meeting will be held in person in the City Council chambers at 275 East Olive Avenue. The public is invited to attend the meeting in person or to view the meeting online or on television. The public will be able to provide public comment in the following 3 ways. In person at the appropriate time during the meeting, by leaving an e-comment on the city webpage, www.burbankca.gov/e-comments, by calling in directly to the Planning Commission at 818-238-3335. Thank you all for your participation and have a good night.